Well, so many stories over the years, they seem to get worse, about people who work on taxpayers or council taxpayers' money. Well, this one really is a bit of a bombshell. I'm joined by Connor Holohan of the Taxpayers Alliance, Media Campaign Manager. This stuff, which is, Connor, is extraordinary. We know work from home. We know... Well, in fact, in Scotland, Humza Yousaf is now proposing just a 4-day week for public sector workers, and we know that, 3-day weeks have become common. I mean, to be fair, in parts of the private sector too, although that's going to change, believe you me. But what you've uncovered here is astonishing. It's not just working from home. It's not just taking a mobile phone call on Bournemouth Beach. It's working from abroad, and in some cases for large periods of time. Give us a couple of examples of what you've found.
So across the board, we've found 1,300 examples of where council staff have been given the sign-off to go and work from abroad, and we've seen this in places, closer places like France and Spain, but further afield like Brazil and South Africa and the USA and things like that.
And they're working for the local council.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, there are some examples like Barnet, which is the most egregious, where there are just under 300 instances of people being signed off to go and work from abroad. I think local people are thinking, well, if you're not, feeling the potholes under your car and you're not in the local area feeling the issues that matter there, how are you going to properly do the job?
Now, it could be argued maybe they're just going for a fortnight's holiday and in theory working whilst they're on holiday, which, if there's a big emergency that you're involved in, can be possible. So are they going to work abroad for long periods of time? That's the key.
Absolutely. And in Croydon's case, they had one staff member who was signed off to work for 800 days abroad. I think in some instances, like you say...
Hang on, that's about 4 years'
Absolutely,
work.
absolutely. So essentially a permanent sign-off to go and work on other shores. And I think, like you say, if there's a bereavement or someone needs to go abroad for treatment, there's got to be some sort of flexibility there. But I think it's different when it's for such a long period of time. And what we've seen is, since 2020, a tenfold increase in the instances of people being signed off to go and work from abroad.
Since 2020, a tenfold increase. So once again, something that was put in train during the pandemic that has not been fully reversed.
Absolutely. And you mentioned, again, the 4-day week and work from home. We see services aren't getting any better. And in terms of work from home or working abroad, we see yesterday in the Mail on Sunday that HMRC, the amount of calls they're not picking up has doubled over the last 5 years. So we can see that services aren't being maintained. Offices which council taxpayers are paying for are empty, and the staff are elsewhere sunning themselves.
Well, if I was a council taxpayer in Croydon, I'd be very upset that somebody had worked abroad for 4 years, given the state of the council's fire. It's basically bust. They haven't submitted accounts this year. Who holds these people to account? I mean, we can argue at elections as they come round, and in the case of these two particular areas that you've mentioned, there'll be assembly elections for the London Assembly next year, not directly but indirectly relevant to these areas. But I mean, who disciplines councils?
Well, it's very difficult. So we saw with the 4-day week in South Cambridgeshire, there's a trial going on there, and outcomes have dropped. And the local government minister, Lee Rowley, said to them, you've got to stop doing this trial. It's not good value for council taxpayers. And they just push on regardless, because the government can't force them to change their working patterns. So unfortunately, it's got to be the ballot box, and that's the best we can do.